Imagine for a moment that everything you've been working towards for so long, work, relationships, even self-belief, suddenly collapses. Not gradually, not with a warning, but instantly, like a house of cards in a gust of wind. What's left? Pain, fear, or unexpected freedom? In 2026, the 3 zodiac signs will face just such a crash. But here begins what no one says out loud. It is through complete destruction that they will gain something much more valuable, an inner strength that neither money nor years of patience can buy. This is not a prediction of disaster. This is a story about rebirth. And if you feel that life is about to be turned upside down, perhaps you are one of those who will be discussed. The year 2026 is not just another cycle. This is a year of profound transformations driven by a rare astrological alignment. Saturn in Pisces collides with Pluto in Aquarius, and Uranus in Gemini wreaks havoc on foundations that seemed unshakable. Such configurations occur once in a generation and do not affect everyone equally. But there are 3 signs whose karmic card literally requires a complete renewal through loss. And this is not an accident. This is a necessary condition for their further growth. They don't just lose, they lose to make room for what really belongs to them by right. Scorpio enters the year 2026 with a full load of confidence. He is a master of shadows, a man who knows how to manage emotions, how to build connections, how to keep everything under control, even when the world around him is collapsing. But it is this confidence that will become his Achilles heel. Already in the first half of the year, under the influence of the transit of Pluto, which returns to its native sign, increasing the pressure of Saturn from Pisces, Scorpio will face a situation in which neither strategy, charisma, nor even intuition will save. It may be the collapse of a project he has been working on for years, a seemingly unshakable partnership, or even a reputational scandal that he gets into through no fault of his own, but through a chain of circumstances that cannot be foreseen. And here the main paradox of the year arises. The more Scorpio tries to take control of the situation, the deeper he plunges into chaos. It will be especially painful if the loss does not occur on the periphery of his life, but in the center, where he felt the most secure. Perhaps it will be a close person whom he considered an ally, but who would turn away at a critical moment, or a professional role in which he established his identity. Scorpio is used to keeping everything a secret, but in 2026 he will be forced out of the shadows, not because he wants to, but because the secret will become powerless. He will be asked to explain himself, justify himself, and prove his reliability anew. And it is at this moment that he will face an internal crisis. If I am not in control, then who am I? It is at this point that his transformation begins. The first reaction is rage, then deep depression, then attempts at revenge or restoration of former status by any means. But Pluto in Scorpio is not just a test, it is an alchemical process. He doesn't demand victory, he demands surrender. Not defeat, but humility. And when Scorpio finally stops fighting against things beyond his control, he will discover not emptiness, but space. A space for honesty, with yourself and with others. He will realize that his strength has never been to hold everything in an iron grip, but in the ability to withstand destruction and find meaning in it. This year, for the first time in many years, Scorpio will allow himself to be vulnerable, not as a weakness, but as a form of trust in life. He will stop hiding his fears and start talking about them. And to my surprise, it is this discovery that will arouse respect, not contempt. Towards the end of the year, especially after the autumnal equinox, when Pluto's energy begins to stabilize, Scorpio will notice that his inner world has become stronger than it was before the crisis. He no longer needs proof of his strength. He just knows he's a survivor. Not the victor, not the avenger, but the one who walked through the darkness and brought out the light, not the ashes. This new force will be quiet but unwavering. It will not require recognition, but it will attract those who seek authenticity. That is why Scorpio, having lost almost everything in 2026, will become not weaker, but stronger, because his armor is now not outside, but inside. Capricorn enters the year 2026 with a clear plan. He is used to living on a schedule where every step is calculated, every risk is minimized, and every goal is justified. For him, success is not luck, but the result of uncompromising discipline. He built his life like an architect builds a cathedral. Brick by brick, without fuss, without unnecessary emotions. But this year Saturn, his ruler, will be in Pisces, a sign where structure dissolves into emotions and logic loses its grip on reality. This collision of the inner principle of Capricorn with the external illusion will be the source of the deepest crisis in his life in recent decades. The first crack will most likely be a situation in which all his efforts will be powerless. Perhaps it will be a corporate crisis, a wave of layoffs, or a complete change in the rules of the game in his industry, something that cannot be foreseen, predicted, or circumvented by traditional methods. What he sacrificed, his personal time, his health, even his relationships for suddenly has no value. His position, title, status, everything that he considered a measure of his worth is devalued in just a few months. And the most painful thing, it's not his fault. He did everything right, by his standards. But the world stopped playing by his rules. This moment will be an existential shock. Capricorn is used to measuring himself through the result. If there is no result, then there is none. For the first time in a long time, he will feel that he is standing in an empty place. His inner dialogue will be filled with questions. Who am I if not my success? What do I have left, if not achievements? He will try to regain control by looking for new projects, clinging to old connections, and returning to proven strategies. But in 2026, everything that works for others will be like sand in his hands. The harder he squeezes, the faster it flows away. It is then, at the deepest point of despair, that an unexpected insight will come to him, not through his mind, but through his body, through fatigue, through silence. Perhaps this will happen at a time when, for the first time in many years, he will be left alone, without deadlines and calls. And in this silence, he will hear not the voice of calculation, but the voice of himself. Capricorn will begin to notice that his value has not disappeared along with the position. She was always there, he just learned to ignore her. He will realize that who he is, patient, reliable, able to bear the burden, is much more important than what he has built. And this knowledge will become a real support for him, not externally, like an office wall or a bank account, but internally, like a rock underground. By the end of the year, Capricorn will no longer seek to restore the past. Instead, he will begin to reconsider his attitude towards goals. He will focus less on hierarchies and more on meaning. He will open himself to cooperation, not competition. He will begin to build not career ladders, but relationships based on trust. His ambitions will not disappear, they will become deeper. He will understand that stability is not something that can be built from the outside, but something that is born inside when you stay true to yourself even in conditions of complete uncertainty. After 2026, Capricorn will cease to be just an architect. He will become a bridge builder between the past and the future, between himself and others, between reality and hope. And this will be his new, genuine strength. Taurus enters the year 2026 with the feeling that he finally has everything under control. He is a man of routine, predictability, and tangible values. His world is built on something that can be touched. A house with underfloor heating, a bank account with an enviable balance, a relationship in which you don't have to guess at the coffee grounds. He doesn't seek drama, He seeks peace. But it is precisely this peace that will become a fragile illusion, because the 2020s are the time when Venus, its ruler, enters into intense interaction with the transits of Uranus and Pluto. These forces do not forgive stagnation. They require renewal, even if it comes through destruction. The first alarms will appear in the spring. Perhaps it will be a sudden change in the financial sphere, the loss of a source of income that Taurus relied on unconditionally, or the urgent need to part with property that he considered part of his personality. Or maybe the destruction will affect the personal sphere. The person with whom Taurus shared his life, dreams, even silence, will suddenly say, "I can't take it anymore." For Taurus, it won't just be a breakup, it's the collapse of the entire universe. After all, he puts into relationships not only feelings, but also time, everyday life, habits, rituals, the whole fabric of everyday life, which is love for him. Taurus will resist. He will offer compromises, try to return everything as it was, will return his thoughts to the past, looking for where he did not do enough. His nature is to cling. Hold it. Save. But in 2026, astrological conditions will work against him. Uranus in Gemini destroys the foundations, and Pluto forces him to face the truth. What goes away irrevocably, not because Taurus is not good enough, but because what goes away has long ceased to be alive. He just didn't want to see it. It is in this struggle, in this forced vacation, that Taurus will first encounter the most frightening concept for him, transience. Everything that he thought was eternal will turn out to be transitory. And in this shock, in this emptiness, his real awakening will begin. First, through pain. Then, through a feeling of strange lightness. He will notice that a morning without the usual coffee for two can still be quiet. That a walk without a goal can still be wonderful. That he's still here, even if there's nothing him around. This will be the beginning of an inner rebirth. Taurus will gradually begin to notice that his value is not in how much he has, but in how he feels. His power is not in accumulation, but in presence. He will begin to learn to live not for later, but now. Don't put off your joy until your vacation, but find it in the smell of rain or in the voice of an old friend. What used to seem like a waste, time without a purpose, a day without a plan, will now seem to him like the luxury of a real life. By the end of the year, Taurus will no longer seek to recreate the past. He will understand that security is not the walls of a house, but inner peace. That love is not possession, but trust. And that flexibility is not a weakness, but the ability to flow with life, not against it. After 2026, Taurus will be different. No less reliable, but more alive. No less stable, but capable of change. He will stop being afraid of loss, because he will understand that the most valuable thing in him cannot be taken away. And that will be his greatest strength. All three of these signs, Scorpio, Capricorn, and Taurus, have one thing in common. They built their lives based on external supports. Control, achievements, property, all these were their protection from chaos. But 2026 is not chaos. It's a mirror. It will show them that true reliability comes not from the outside, but from the inside. The loss here is not a punishment, but an initiation. The one who goes through it with an open heart, and not with closed fists, will come out of this year not just a survivor, he will come out transformed. He'll be quieter, but more confident. Simpler, but deeper. Able to hold the pain without turning it into poison. That is why these signs, having lost everything, will become stronger than everyone else. Because strength is not something that remains after victory. This is what remains after a defeat, and still breathes.